Well, hello there, my strange friends and friendly strangers. Welcome to another installment of The Songs We Pray. This is a video series that takes a deeper look at some of the songs that we sing when we gather as a church and how those songs function for us as prayers. So today we're going to take a quick look at what has become, for me, kind of a surprise favorite, Jesus at the Center. Now, for all of our American or non-Anglophile friends out there, the first thing to note is that when I'm Googling this song or writing it down anywhere, as a Canadian, I'm often having a hard time finding it at first until I realize that Israel Houghton and the gang spell center with an ER and not an RE. Now, I'm not saying that either one of us is right, it's just different, I mean, if you had to choose a right spelling, then maybe you would take a look at the adjective form, central, and maybe see if that leads you to any particular conclusions. But hey, let's just consider this a public service announcement to save you any future internet search frustrations. Now, the song was written and released by Israel Houghton and his crew back in 2012, but as far as I can tell, the first time that it was led at our church for our congregation was actually in June of 2017 by one of our team worship leaders at the time, Martine Kelsey. Miss you, Martine, if you're out there somewhere. Since then, it's been led about 15 different Sundays in morning services and a handful of other kind of services like Celebrate Recovery or Prime Student Ministries or even maybe one of our worship nights. So I wouldn't exactly describe it as a high frequency song, but it is maybe more of a utility player, a song that has a very specific type of prayer, namely the centrality of Jesus. Now, we're going to take a quick look at the lyrics in just a moment, but it's worth noting, even before we get there, that the music for the song is fairly unique for us as a congregation, at least at this point. I find the genre of gospel is kind of an unclear title, but of the songs that we lead, this one fits much more under that iTunes rack maybe than some of the others. It's got some swing, it's got some sway, and by the middle of the breakdown of the crescendo, it definitely has some swagger as well. So that being said, it's also a fairly simple song, which is, I would argue, part of its strength. Over Easter, we've been looking at some pretty heavy hymn-like songs, with verses that jam-pack a lot of theology and prayer into a little bit of melody. But with this song, essentially we walk through one central, if you'll pardon the pun, one central idea as it evolves over the course of 3 verses, right? We open with the acknowledgement of faith, Jesus at the center of it all. And then we move to an individual prayer for that acknowledged reality to be fleshed out in our own lives. Jesus, be the center of my life. And then we culminate with a corporate or with a group prayer, that our individual faiths and lives would reflect our shared reality in such a way as to draw others to this central truth. Jesus, be the center of your church. And every knee will bow and every tongue shall confess you, Jesus. The song's chorus states it pretty plainly. Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Now, the world can't revolve around me and around Christ at the same time. There's only one center of the universe, and it ain't me. I lack the gravity. Easter celebrations within the church tend to help highlight the centrality of the Jesus story and the centrality of the cross within that story. Christian teaching typically includes the idea that reality has edges, it has contours. This world, existence in general, it has a beginning, it has an end. God is timeless, but creation is not. The center point, the pivot point in terms of both time and space is the person of Jesus Christ. Or as the Apostle Paul says in his letter to the church at Colossae, the Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers, rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him, for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. He is the head of the body, the church, the beginning, the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. So the simple prayer of this song is that followers of Jesus will look more Christ-like the more we lay down our rights and our preferences, the more we acknowledge the centrality of the Son, and in so doing, the more we proclaim to the world around us that flourishing is not about finding a way for the world to revolve around you, but to come to a place where we succumb to the rhythm of revolving around Him. Or, as the bridge of the song says, from my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you.